Welcome to today's Explainer. A lot of people think a lack of motivation comes down to just pure laziness or maybe not having clear goals. But performance psychology actually reveals something entirely different. Today, we're going to dive into the neuroscience of motivation to uncover how invisible, limiting beliefs operating right there in your subconscious are quietly sabotaging your potential. And more importantly, we're going to look at exactly how we can rewrite them.
So let's jump right in with a super simple but universally frustrating question. Have you ever read an amazing self-help book, completely understood the very first step, but then just didn't do it? We are absolutely drowning in information today. We know exactly what behaviors we need to improve our lives. If you want to get in shape, you need to eat right and exercise. If you want great relationships, you need to be fully present. We know the exact behaviors required. So why on earth don't we actually do them?
That brings us to part 1, the motivation problem. To figure out why we get stuck, we really have to address a fundamental misunderstanding about how motivation actually works in the human brain. We usually picture it as the straight, simple line drawn between what we want and what we need to do. But in reality, motivation is a triangle. The 3 points are the behavior, which is what to do, the benefit, which is why you want it, and the belief, which asks, can you actually do it?
And here's the rub. If you know the behavior and you desperately want the benefit, but you don't truly believe you are capable of doing it or achieving that benefit, the entire triangle just collapses. Without that third pillar of belief, you will inevitably self-sabotage and fail to do what you already know you're supposed to do.
This whole collapse happens because we harbor these hidden limiting beliefs. These are quiet thoughts and convictions that actively sap our motivation or just increase our daily suffering. And the real danger here is that we falsely treat these limiting beliefs as if they're absolute facts about who we are. They just run constantly in the background of our minds, day in and day out, basically like a faulty operating system that's dictating our actions. To understand how this works, just think about the sheer scale of what's happening in your head right now. At this very moment, your brain is processing 11 million bits of information per second. To put that into perspective, that's literally like reading the entire book of War and Peace twice, every single second. Good luck fitting that on a sticky note. But incredibly, your conscious awareness, it can only handle about 50 bits out of those 11 million. Because your conscious mind can process so little, your brain is forced to use your underlying beliefs as this tiny little keyhole to filter reality. What you believe literally determines which 50 bits of reality you actually get to experience.
Which leads us to part 2, your reality filter.
Okay, so if your beliefs are filtering your entire reality, then to stop self-sabotaging, we have to fundamentally change our relationship with our own thoughts. To do that, we first have to separate facts and faith from beliefs. A fact is an objective truth, right? Like the earth is round. It honestly doesn't care whether you agree with it or not. Faith is a strongly held conviction that requires absolutely no evidence at all. But a belief sits right in the middle. A belief is simply a conviction that is completely open to revision based on new evidence.
So that brings us to this massive, life-changing takeaway. Beliefs are tools, not truths. Think about it. A master carpenter wouldn't use a hammer for every single job in the workshop. In the exact same way, you do not have to hold on to a belief if it no longer serves you. If it's a broken tool, you can just put it down. Instead of lugging around the heavy weight of those limiting beliefs, we can actively choose to install liberating beliefs. These are beliefs we deliberately adopt because they supply us with massive amounts of motivation and they actively decrease our daily suffering. Now, if you doubt the absolute power of swapping out a bad belief for a liberating one, check out this famous clinical study involving rats. Researchers found that rats who were given a single tiny taste of hope didn't just swim a little bit longer before giving up. No, they went from giving up at the 15-minute mark to swimming for an astonishing 60 hours. Just by changing their belief about their situation, by introducing just that one little glimmer of hope, these rats became 240 times more persistent. That is literally the biological power of a liberating belief in action. All right, moving on to part 3, beliefs are just tools. We often assume that hopelessness is something we learn after being beaten down by life. But modern psychology reveals something fascinating. Helplessness is actually our default state from birth. We actively have to learn hope. To build that hope, increase our motivation, and cultivate a highly resilient mindset, we must train the 3 powers of belief. Those are attention, so what we actively choose to focus on; anticipation, what we expect to happen; and agency,
a recognized ability to choose our own actions. Train these 3 and you unlock incredible levels of performance.
And just to show you how insane the power of anticipation, just one of those 3 powers, truly is, check this out. Research out of Yale shows that people who hold positive beliefs about aging at age 30 end up living, on average, 7.5 years longer. Really think about that for a second. A positive belief, a strong sense of anticipation about aging, literally adds more years to your life than exercising or quitting smoking.
Let's look at part 4, the turnaround framework.
So how do we actually do this in the real world? Well, you can unlearn your old limiting beliefs and install these life-extending, liberating ones using a specific 4-step framework called the turnaround. The next time you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, maybe thinking something like, my boss is just too hard to please, stop and run it through these 4 questions. 1. Is it true? Your brain will immediately scream yes. 2. Is it absolutely true 100% of the time with 0 exceptions? Usually, you're going to find the answer is actually no. 3. Who am I when I hold this belief? You'll likely realize it just makes you impatient or angry. And 4. Who would I be without this belief? Probably a whole lot more at peace.
Then comes the final, most powerful step of this framework, where you force a complete 180-degree flip of your original thought. You take my boss is too hard to please, and you flip it to I am too hard to please. And suddenly, this realization hits you. You might actually be the one setting completely impossible expectations for yourself, and you're just projecting that onto your boss.
Now, you might be thinking, well, which one of these beliefs is the absolute objective truth? Honestly, who cares? That really isn't the point. The whole point is to give your brain a diverse portfolio of new, liberating options to choose from so you don't have to stay stuck in a cycle of suffering and self-sabotage.
It's time we stop treating our beliefs like absolute, unchangeable facts. Start treating them exactly like what they are, tools. Unlearn the ones that are keeping you stuck and start building your liberating mindset today. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one question to think about. What is one limiting belief that is holding you back right now that you are going to put through the turnaround this week?